Hello. First of all, thank you very much everyone for arriving, and also my sincere apologies for a little technical glitch. A bit of little artificial intelligence kicked in to stop a few things, and that was not really a good experience to kick this session off. Okay, so I brought in, so my name is Rizwan Sharif, and I brought in with me my little artificial AI assistant. This is Cosmo, and it was kicking before the other little things kicked in. But this is actually an artificial intelligence toy which recognizes you and can interact with you. So we will discuss about few things in about a while. So how are we gonna go about it? So I will start this presentation with a quick question. And that question is that when we talk about the transformation, the ones that we have seen before, the biggest one in recent memory is the industrial transformation, the change that we have seen, the industrial era. And this is a picture which basically I think best describes that how changes take place in the industry when a big mega change comes. So if we look at this presentation, so this is New York City Easter Parade, and in this you can see there are all horse-driven carts. But can you see there is only one actual car in there? So there is only one motor car and everything else just the horse-driven carts. If I move to the next slide, this is 1913, just 10 years. There is only one horse. No more horse carts, just in 10 years, everything replaced. So this is one big change, massive change that we have seen, and that one we can recognize that this is how this change has come and it has changed the world. The internal combustion engine, the motor cars. And if we were to look at 2060 New York, here is a car which is actually a self-driving car. There is built-in artificial intelligence in it, which drives, which takes it to places, and you simply sit at the driving seat just to take a control if it is start to veer off at any point in time. But fundamentally it works. And once we see this, there is a question that comes to mind, and that is that what is next? And before we start discussing next, I think I can start with a little introduction of me. I am founder and owner of ReceiptBot, and I've previously worked at PwC. I'm qualified accountant, and I've worked with IBM with technologies, so I've got background in both, so a bit qualified to talk on the subject. Okay, so what we are going to discuss in next about 25 minutes. Again, we have to cut it little short, apologies for that little technical glitch. So we are going to talk about what is artificial intelligence, like what exactly it is, do we understand it? Then secondly, how it will impact, what are the changes that it is going to make in the industries, and what are the technologies that are becoming available today. So if we were to talk about artificial intelligence applications that you can start using today, there are some, and then there are others which have already been either in the process of release or in partner testing. Then we will also talk about, is it good for you? What are the benefits? How can you get ahead of the game and start implementing it? So we were talking about there's an artificial intelligent car in 2016, and this is what it will be. Will anyone bet against roads looking like this in 2020? Maybe not in 2020, but 2023. So we know that this is real, and this is going to change fundamentally the way we operate and the way we live. Okay, what is artificial intelligence? What is it? So artificial intelligence is the machine with the ability to solve problems that were previously only we humans could do, and that it does on the basis of data that is available to us through the machine and the processing power. And with that, it can make predictable decisions. It can make with certain confidence that this is the right answer, this is right or wrong. The way self-driving cars work, they have built-in sensors. Those sensors with the algorithms make certain decisions. This is a road, this is what a specific signal looks like, or this is what a specific road sign looks like, a speed sign looks like. They interpret it, and on that basis they make those decisions. So this is what primarily artificially intelligent systems are. Why artificial intelligence has become so powerful all of a sudden now? Like why it took it so long? So we'll have to look at three things that actually enable artificial intelligence. One is data, second is processing power, and third is algorithms. all three things have been fundamentally in exponential growth. So this graph, if you look at this side, it's like exponentially growing processing power, our ability to analyze data. It has gone from like 0.01 to 10,000 MIPS in about just 10 years. Not, this one is not 10 years, in fact, this is a bit more than that. This is about 45 years. The next key thing we talk about is data. With internet, cloud, and connected devices, there is an explosion of data. We never had that much data before. And with that much data, so this is the green line below, this is IBM's graph, basically represents the data that organizations are producing. And then on top of that, there is the other data that is coming from different sources. And this is only from 2010, only 7 years. And if we look at from 2010 back to something like 2000, the graph looks exactly same or somewhat similar, because when the digital storage came in. So fundamentally what we have two major changes, two major pieces of jigsaw growing at an exponential level with an exponential increase. One is data, and second is your processing power. When you put data and processing power together with a third component, that is the algorithms, which then get insight out of it, we are able to understand information better, and we are able to make better decisions out of it. And this is exactly what we do when we make any system artificial intelligent. We run thousands of different transactions, or in fact millions of different pieces of information, which are similar for machine to start assessing and analyzing what is it, the information that they need to take out of it. So this change then brings in another very interesting change, and that is human knowledge. Now, with data, with our ability to analyze and the algorithms that can process it, human knowledge is also going up at an exponential rate. And with that increase means that we are also much more smarter individuals than we were previously, and that is also going to be increased. Now, when we put those things together and we start talking about the artificial intelligence system and the machine, the algorithm, what are the implementations? We are all, Tesla is here, we all aware self-driving cars, self-parking cars, and they have been basically implemented successfully. Then we go about, we all know we have Siri in our phones. It is your artificially intelligent robot which tells you, not always answers correctly, tells you funny things at times. Then I'm sure you have tried, or some of you have tried Amazon's Alexa, which again, you can put different situations to it. It learns from the environment, and then it answers it. And obviously that learning at times can also be a bit of a surprise, because you were not expecting, or some people taught something which was not really appropriate. So we have seen some incident happen related to that as well. Now, when we talk about artificial intelligence in accounting, what is it that is possible or that is happening today, and what is it that's going to happen in near future? So we have a lot of data. Zero was released about in 2007, and it's 10 years data in cloud. Similarly, a lot of other applications, QuickBooks in cloud, and there are a number of other applications in the cloud which are gathering all that data. Previously, all that accounting data was sitting on individuals' desktop, if it was on at all, or it was sitting in their files. Now, all that data coming together online in one cloud environment means that it can be used to run algorithms and train the system to make certain things. And one of the very first things that is happening, and that basically we saw happen, is the coding. That your accountant, when you have any invoice, when you are raising a sales invoice, when you are creating an expense, so you can make the system to learn based on specific information that what exactly it is, which account code it could go into. And if we read Zero's material on it, and they are here as well, they can better explain. But fundamentally, they have been analyzing the mistakes that accountants correct and how long it takes them. And by analyzing those mistakes and those corrections, they are able to now predict that what actually the category should be. And the way we have built it in ReceiptBot, we have built it on a number of parameters where we go that if this is the industry of business, this is the industry of the supplier, then what could be potential category if there is no history. But we also then able to go back and look at the data that is there in their cloud accounting software that we import, and on that basis we can decide what the coding should be. So this is one of the very early implementations of artificial intelligence in accounting, where your coding is becoming practically automated, and it saves you hassle and quite a bit of time. The second thing, where again it was quite evident, quite obvious that this was coming, that is the chatbots. Chatbots are practically now everywhere. Every single telephone, or not every single, but fairly large number of telephone lines where you call, they have a voice recognition system or auto voice system that will pick your questions, will give you most probably the right answers, or at least divert you in the right direction. Similarly, when we go and look at help systems or online FAQs, they are usually chatbots who will give you the initial answers. There are experiments in the airports where you have actually robots roaming around and giving you background if you need to get a direction, if you need to ask about a flight. So you have that information readily available. Instead of going to an individual and asking, it is enabling them to basically put the robots on that will give you the information. So chatbot is another good example. Sage has announced it. I'm sure you have seen it in the Sage Summit. I haven't seen it around today, but that's one of the big things. It works pretty much like Alexa. It picks up your accounting data and gives you answers on basic information. So what is my profit? What is my revenue? How we are doing on X product? So these simple questions, instead of you running the report, you can simply ask the robot or like the chatbot, and it will give you the answer. Xero has announced like, hey Xero, I'm not sure if it's live yet. And then there are like other applications. There is a provider in Germany, Unit 4, and they have also similar application, and they do a little more than that. If you give instructions either by writing or by talking to the bot, you can simply raise invoices. Say, raise my sales invoice to X customer, and based on the information, it will raise the invoice. Now, there are two other areas which will become relatively quickly automated. It's quite evident. I have not seen the applications right away which are doing it. There are automated, like Xero's based on the bank feed is actually a very good reconciliation. But there are changes. And those changes are that practically once you have data in the system, you have your bank feed in the system, it will simply automate the whole process. It will by itself reconcile based on previous experience that how you actually do it. Current softwares at the moment do it on the basis of parameters. And that's the difference between an artificially intelligent system and a normal system, that an artificially intelligent system will learn over time. And as you process more data, it gets better. It improves itself. In a normal system, there is no such mechanism. There are given instructions, and system will follow those instructions based on the scenarios and will process data. So one key bit is Salesforce Einstein. So this is actually, I think, of all the AI applications that I've seen, this one particularly impresses me quite a bit, because this Einstein application actually tells you based on your interactions with the leads that how likely they are going to buy. And just by knowing that how likely a customer is going to buy from you, just based on the interaction, how better you can divert your efforts to selling it to the right customer. You know that what is my likelihood of buying a specific customer. So these are some practical implementation. And Salesforce Einstein is available. It's one of those rare ones which are, because all these applications are just out of the blocks now. So some are in beta, some are in early stages, and Salesforce Einstein is one which is actually readily available. Now, ReceiptBot. Now that you are here, obviously, and I will take this opportunity to take 5 minutes on ReceiptBot, what ReceiptBot does and why we call it ReceiptBot. So ReceiptBot is your bookkeeping robot. What you do is you just put your pieces of paper together, all the paperwork that clients give you. If you're an accountant, your clients will come to you with, if they are not doing online accounting by themselves, they will come with a bunch of papers. You take that bunch of papers and put it on a system where on a scanner. As soon that the scanner hits our system, ReceiptBot, it will first of all identify the documents. It will see what those documents are. So if it's like a bank statement, it's a card statement, it's a receipt, it's an invoice, or if it's an HMRC letter, or if it's any other important piece of information that is relevant, it will pick that up. And I will just quickly switch to show you some. Okay, I think that crashing didn't help, and if I try to restore it, the system won't. It will take a little while. So when the data comes to the system, based on the information, system tags it. So if some of you have seen the demo of the application, so the way it works, it will pick up the HMRC letters, it will look at the specific logos. Based on logos, it will define, is it a VAT letter? Is it a letter from bailiff? So system can then define what exactly the document is. If it's a receipt or invoice, it will put it into a receipt and invoice processing queue, where the data will be extracted from system based on the information in there. It doesn't matter what the format is. It doesn't have to be a structured format. And then the data goes in your given structure. If you are using Xero or QuickBooks, we integrate with Xero and QuickBooks at the moment. So data will directly flow to Xero and QuickBooks, and it will be coded to a right accounting category. However, there are two things which are not perfect. One is the coding to accounting category, because it is judgmental still. And secondly, payment method. System also recognizes how you paid it if the information is on the receipt. For example, at times you have last 4 digits on the document saying like they paid from this card. So system will recognize it. Similarly, if there is a cash, system will recognize it is paid from cash and say Rizwan has uploaded it. So most probably Rizwan paid cash out of his pocket, and on that basis it will assign to Rizwan's petty cash account. So all that accounting works in the background. Similarly, it works on the bank and card statements. It will recognize what the bank is, what the card is. Based on that, on the structures, it will extract the data and it will put it in the relevant format. Bank and card statements you can then download in CSV in your given format and upload it to your Xero QuickBook accounts. So this is a sort of quick example that we do. There are some more intelligence we are building into it. That intelligence is not fully live. So if you upload a document, say with 50 invoices, system will know there are 50 invoices in it. And if you upload 5 documents, 5 pages different, that are one invoice, if there is not a big time gap in it, about 90% of the time system works out it's the same document and puts it together. Similarly, if you have like specific missing duplicate documents, what happens when I go and I purchase online? I get an invoice from Amazon, and I paid from PayPal. I get another one from PayPal as well. So I have 2. So you get your dedicated inbox in receipt bot, where you will push both those emails. You will forward it, and receipt bot will know that actually this is the same transaction, and it will put both the emails together in one place. So these are the type of intelligence that are already built in. We are working on missing documents. So system will identify if there are missing documents. For example, you have bank statements missing for a period. You were paying rent for 7 months, but 8 and 9 months went missing, and then you have 11 and 12 months. So that's where again system picks up, and we are working on that intelligence as well. So system will find out, and it will point that out as well. So this is like I've done a little map of accounting process or bookkeeping process. So what are the things that we are working on? What is it that is already there, and what can happen in near future? So we have, the way it process starts, it starts with your record management and data entry. Then there's accounting, coding, categorization, making sure entries are right. There are reconciliation, there are reporting inquiries, and then there's compliance reporting. Now, we already have some compliance reporting and dashboard applications which give you the reporting. They are not strictly artificially intelligent, but they are coded to give you the output that you need. So Hey Xero and Sage pretty much come down end of that reporting, where you can answer or ask any specific queries. On the account coding and categorization, so obviously this is one area where Xero at the moment is, and this is an area where ReceiptBot works at the moment. So this is the current scenario. Like all other major technologies, it is all about the first step. once you have first few technologies doing it, you know that's going to happen, right? So the way I predict it, in next year or so, there will be more players in the market, smaller and big, and most probably this reconciliation gap will disappear. These applications will connect each other. We know at cloud, everything connects with everything. So that means that whole cycle will fundamentally be covered with artificial intelligence. And if we look a bit further down the line, 6 months to a year, expect more overlap. There will be more overlap where some of this will be moving into a direction where the coding is. So these applications fundamentally will connect with each other and will also overlap into the space in a way that expect in next couple of years the whole end-to-end your accounting and bookkeeping cycle, if not by one application, with 2 or 3 applications will be covered. So that's how we are expecting it to pan out. So obviously this is quite important thing. So we know that this is happening, and the question then at this stage comes is that how do we get ahead of the game? And what is it that we can do? So the way I got into it, a reason I brought this toy, because I was quite fascinated by it, because what it could do. It can recognize individuals, it has its own opinion, its mind, it gives you feedback. So it basically, it's just a toy, but it acts like a little robot and like a little pet. And that's one thing that I thought when I looked at it in terms of, and this is one of very first one, but again, expect there will be more autonomous robots. Similarly, self-driving cars. One company started, Google started, but now all other companies are coming into it. So, and we have those small things in our phone that we can try out, like Siri, or like even the Einstein on Salesforce. So we have those applications already that we can simply try out for free to get a feel of it, what is it that's possible. And it's quite fascinating how it reacts, how it responds. Then get on the bandwagon early. The new applications that are coming out, when they are released or nearing release, they are usually free. Look out for it. When these vendors go around announcing that we are looking for partners, can you help us? See, they are dependent on you for them to work, and we are dependent on you, in fact. So look out for those specific applications and then start working with them in the beginning to just get ahead of the game, because then that enables you to prepare for a bit longer run. Your team members, I think we all know that teens are always ahead of us, right? They can get these technologies better and they can understand it quickly. So to your younger team members, the ones who are new joiners, trainees, I think it's quite critical that we get them into it. We get them to read those publications. We get them to most probably come here tomorrow and see and sort of absorb this information, because this will enable them to learn and they will enable you to push forward, because they can definitely work with these things relatively faster. So I talked about using these technologies and why should you use it. We know at the start of this presentation, we looked at it, that the change is inevitable. It's gonna come. So the question is that how do we not only get ahead of it, but get better at it and beat the game at it. So it helps you build better client experience. So once you have adopted it, because for ReceiptBot, we have a very good iPhone app. You simply direct it on a paper, it knows exactly the size of the paper, and it will cut it and it will put it in the system. If a client is doing the expense recording just then, they will always be on top of their expenses. They know that how their business is performing instead of looking at it at the end of the year. Then secondly, we talked about millennials, getting them involved. I think using these technologies will excite them. It will enable them, it will basically enable you to hire better talent by showing, see how we are ahead of the game and we are using better technologies. And then obviously, most of these technologies do help you get better with the margins, because they help you save costs, they help you save time, and then it helps you improve the margins. And third and the most important thing is resilience and scalability, because having the applications means that your processes are automated and it can be repeated multiple times. You can train just a team member on it or few team members on it and they can repeat it quickly. And obviously, by putting data in the system, by putting a lot of activity on automation, you can scale a lot faster as well. So I think this is what we have discussed so far. So I will like to summarize it. I've got a bit of a sound on it, and that's why I'll just quickly check it's not too loud. Otherwise it will overpower me, and I don't want to do that. So we are living practically in an exponential growth age. Everything that we know, the processing power, the data, and our ability to deal with it are growing at exponential rate. And what that is doing to us is enabling us to achieve things that were previously thought were impossible. And we are defying our mental and physical abilities. Now, in this time of self-driving cars, or like autonomous drones to travel you around, or for that matter, like even these artificially intelligent autonomous toys, accountants, for accountants and bookkeepers, it won't be that they will be sitting in the back office and doing the data entry, or dealing with the reconciliations, or for that matter, just fixing those formulas in the cash flow that was hard punched by a junior team member. But in fact, if we look at MTD and how it's going to change things, it will also enable to do quite a lot of compliance accounting on automation. So when I discuss this with my techie friends, they go, okay, so what's the accountant going to do? They will be out of job. And that's when I get a little offended, because I'm an accountant as well. And I go, no, listen, accountants are not doing the data entry, and they are not really only doing the reconciliation work. They have done a lot more. They enabled the industrial economy of 20th century. They were the trusted advisors. They were the supporters. They were the champions of the businesses. And they fundamentally, what we see today, the financial reality, it has been enabled by the accounting support and that advisory. Now we are looking at exponential growth, entrepreneurship, increased global trade, increased cross-border investment. And with that accounting role, the mentorship, the leadership become even more critical. And this is where I think accountants can fundamentally play the critical role as business advisors, mentors, and champions, and game makers to push this digital economy forward. There's one important thing though. To be able to set the rules of the game, you need to get ahead of it. And this is one thing I would like to discuss in about next 10-15 minutes. What is it that you are doing today, or will you do tomorrow differently to get ahead of the game? Thank you very much. So we have a mic, and you have a mic? That's good. Thank you.
I'm happy to do it if you want.
Okay, sir.
Anyone wants to ask a question?
So is it, would you like to ask any questions, sir? Yes, please, sir. Thank you.
Hello, thanks for the presentation, very nice.
Thank you.
Please help me understand. Your bot is doing the account coding
Yes.
using artificial intelligence,
Yes.
correct? Now, how does it overlap with zero coding?
It's
Or it doesn't?
I think practically both applications are doing similar thing. The zero application currently is on the sales invoice side. I'm not sure if they're covering expenses. But what we do is, with our zero integration, we pull zero accounting categories, supplier information, and VAT information from zero. And with that, we, at the moment, are not learning from zero history, but we are learning from our own algorithms. But we are working to build application where we'll also be able to learn from the zero history.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Sorry,
Anyone
Michael,
else?
do you have a question? So, go ahead.
Rizwan.
Yes.
Yeah, so listening to a lot of people with a number of questions,
Yes.
I think the importance is, or the understanding would be better if we understood a little bit about the detail. So if for example, I present to Receipt Bot an invoice from one supplier with a number of different items on it.
Yes.
How will it cope with that in terms of the coding mechanism?
So at the moment, the coding is on the total bottom line level. We are not really working on explicit line levels currently in the invoices. That is available on bank and card statements, and we are working on the line level extraction in the invoices as well. So I think in about 3 to 4 months we will have that, where specific coding will be on the line level. We will be looking at line information, line description, and we'll be coding on that basis. But fundamentally, the application is looking at the expenses, what you have done previously, your own work. Then if your accountant is also on receipt bot, it looks at that how that accountant categorizes this specific expense for this industry, and it picks that on that basis. If accountant is not there, we are also looking at global data, that how holistically this specific supplier is getting treated for this industry. So there are quite a few other variables that input into it. Okay.
Is it now in production already? Is it working?
Yes, it is working. We are not doing the account production with it. At the moment, we are creating the accounting entries and exporting it to Xero or QuickBooks, or you can also export it to Excel. If you are using a desktop-based application, you can upload it there. We are working on few extra features where some of the features that I discussed not explicitly linked to ReceiptBot, but they are in works, and we hopefully meet at next Accountex. There will be a lot more in it. Yes.
Picking up the bottom line figures.
Sorry?
He's only picking up the bottom line figures, not distinguish between VAT and net figures at this stage.
Yes. So at the moment, it's only working on the net amount of the invoice. We are not extracting the detailed line items. Yes, it does put VAT. It does put, yes. In fact, there are a lot of built-in validations to ensure VAT is captured correctly. Similarly, unfortunately, couldn't show the application because we have some very aggressive logarithms to ensure the accuracy of data. If you look at our bank and card statements, there are two lines. One is calculated, second is extracted of the balance. And if those two don't match, system will work itself out, or someone will have to look at from our team, from professionals, to ensure it actually gives you the correct results. So in terms of amount, yes, it does capture the VAT, gross amount, net amount. Yes.
Do you use your OCR system for it, or how do you extract the data?
We have developed an OCR application. We are using a number of libraries and also a number of other applications. So to get this far, we tried some 20 plus OCR applications to get the best result. And at the moment, the engine that we use has actually, the process that we use has 3 engines embedded in it. Depending on the type of document, it will send it to the best engine. Yes.
Where is your stand?
So my stand, we are at 420. So we are done for today, obviously, but we are available tomorrow. Please come around. I will love to show you a demo of the application. It's just a little technical glitch, and I paid the price of it by not showing the demo to you. But I hope you found the presentation informative. Thank you very much.